What we're looking at here is the brake light switch on the rear of my Polaris RZR 570. When the camera decides it's gonna, there it is. Right, the other day, because as everybody knows who runs one of these RZRs, to start it you've got to put your foot on the brake, and that is the switch that one puts the brake lights on and two arms the starter solenoid. Well, the other day it cold started in the morning, took me about 30 miles, popped in to see a friend, and then did another start, and I drove to the petrol station and it wouldn't start. Anyway, I haven't got time to mess about with it in the petrol station. I just bridged the two terminals across the starter solenoid to get it going. I brought it home, and this morning I've come out to have a look at the switch, having looked at the wiring diagram, to find out that one of the wires had actually pushed out of the block connector. I've got the block connector in my hand here, if it'll focus on it, which it probably won't, so I'll put it on the floor. There we are, that's the block connector, and the wires go in here and here, and then two little tabs locate on the two pins on the brake light switch, so it would be that way round, and it pushes on. But what it was doing, it was pushing one of the wires out the back of the block, which is why I've taken the block off. So now I'm looking at it, trying to figure out how do I keep these wires on the brake light switch. So I've crimped the connectors up to make them a good fit, so they're nice and tight on there. Now I've got to weatherproof them. So I thought, well, how do I do this? Because I don't want them getting affected by the weather and the mud and the crap, because it's in a bit of a crap position. All the mud from the back driver's side wheel gets splattered up around this area, and the switch ends up absolutely covered in mud. So I've got to stop the corrosion now. So I was thinking, do I heat shrink it, or do I just coat it in grease? I thought, no, grease will wash off. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to use hot glue, and I'm going to seal the connector with hot glue, because at the end of the day I can still get it off. And I'm going to order a new brake light switch with spade connectors on it, proper spades instead of the silly pins that Polaris put on it. I'm going to make a rubber boot then out of heat shrink and put it over the brake light switch, over the wiring, and I'm going to heat shrink it on. But that's when the new switch arrives. But for now I'm going to hot glue gun them terminals onto the switch. All I'm going to use is my little Loctite hot glue gun. I'm going to go in and I'm just going to cover them in hot glue for now. That should protect them from any moisture until the new switch arrives. I'll plug the gun in and I'll let it heat up. When it's hot, I'll turn the camera back on. So there you can see the switch. The glue gun's warmed up now, and I'm gonna hot glue gun them terminals on. Not a lot of room in here. I'm hoping that keeps the terminals in place. Protects them from the moisture and the weather for now. And when that goes hard, that should be a good waterproof seal. The wires can't move now on the plugs, and they can't short themselves out because they're both sealed, but that's only a temporary fix for now. When I get the new switch, I'll show you the installation and the modification to the wiring loom as I get the parts and I find the time to do it. But for now, that'll have to suffice. No protection at all. I did check all the integrity of the wires before I committed to doing this. I checked I'd got my 12 volt feed coming down the orange wire, which is also the switch for the brake lights, but the wire is spliced and goes to the ignition switch, and then when you put your foot on the brakes, that switch then sends a signal to earth down the black, which is what arms the solenoid and also turns the stop lights on. I know all that's working. I've checked all the wiring, I've checked the integrity and everything, so I've got no worries about the wiring loom. It was just that connector there that was causing me grief. So time will tell. I'm going to let that go hard now, and I'm going to go out and I'm going to buzz it up, and if it fails on me again, I've always got the old spanner across the start solenoid to try it. But let's see if she'll start. So as you all know, it's foot on the brake, ignition on. That's the result we want. A Polaris that starts. So that should work for the time being. I know it's a bit of a botch, but until the new parts arrive, the new brake light switch with the spade connectors on, and I can get in there to modify the wiring loom with a proper spade terminal, and then I can put heat shrink tubing around it properly to seal it. This is going to have to suffice for now. Thank you for watching, and I hope nobody else has this problem with their 800 or their 570, because I believe it's quite a common problem on them. But that is the first place to go looking if you do have a no start, no power going to your starter motor.